First day on the job, the journey of a new English teacher. Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we have a very inspiring story to share with you. It's about the journey of a new English teacher starting their first day at school.
That's right, Luther. It's a story that many of us can relate to or learn from, whether we're teachers, students, or anyone who's ever started something new. Let's dive into the story of Emma, the English teacher.
Emma was both excited and nervous. It was her first day teaching at a local school. She prepared her lessons carefully, wanting to make a great first impression.
When she arrived at school, she greeted by the principal, who showed her to her classroom. "This is where you'll be shaping young minds," he said with a smile.
Emma smiled back, feeling the weight and the honor of her new role. She arranged her desk, placed her books neatly, and waited for her students to arrive.
The bell rang, and her students began to enter the classroom. She greeted each one with a warm smile, trying to remember their names.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ms. Emma, your new English teacher. I'm so excited to learn and grow with all of you this year, she began, her voice steady and welcoming.
The students seemed curious and attentive. Emma started her lesson with a simple get-to-know-each-other activity, asking each student to share their name and one interesting fact about themselves.
The class was filled with laughter and chatter as students shared their stories. Emma listened intently, making mental notes to remember each student's interests.
As the class progressed, Emma introduced a short story. They discussed the plot, the characters, and the moral. Emma was impressed by the students' insights and creativity.
By the end of the class, Emma felt a sense of accomplishment and connection with her students. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them with enthusiasm and determination.
Emma's story is a beautiful reminder of the impact teachers have on their students and the journey of growth they embark on together.
Absolutely, Bianca. And to our viewers, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever started a new role or joined a new community? What was your experience like?
Share your stories in the comments below. We believe everyone's story has something valuable to teach us.
Thank you for watching, everyone. If you found Emma's story inspiring, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.
Stay curious, stay inspired, and remember, every new beginning is a chance to make a difference. See you in the next video.
English common items in your home and garden. Where is the sofa? The sofa is in the living room. What color is the carpet? The carpet is blue. Does Paul have a coffee table? Yes, Paul has a coffee table. What does Nancy use the armchair for? Nancy uses the armchair for reading. Is there a lamp in the living room? Yes, there is a lamp in the living room. What is on the wall in Paul's living room? There is a painting on the wall. Does Nancy have a TV in her living room? Yes, Nancy has a TV in her living room. What is the size of Paul's rug? Paul's rug is large. Where does Nancy keep her books? Nancy keeps her books on the bookshelf. Is there a fireplace in Paul's living room? Yes, there is a fireplace in Paul's living room. Does Nancy have a dining table in her living room? No, Nancy does not have a dining table in her living room. What kind of plant is in Paul's living room? There is a fern in Paul's living room. Where is the garden table? The garden table is in the backyard. What does Nancy use the garden chair for? Nancy uses the garden chair for relaxing. Is there a barbecue grill in Paul's garden? Yes, There is a barbecue grill in Paul's garden. Does Nancy have flowers in her garden? Yes, Nancy has flowers in her garden. What is next to the garden shed? The lawnmower is next to the garden shed. Does Paul have a swing in his garden? Yes, Paul has a swing in his garden. What does Nancy use the watering can for? Nancy uses the watering can to water the plants. Is there a hammock in Paul's garden? Yes, there is a hammock in Paul's garden.
Master present simple with easy questions and answers. Does Paul play football? Yes, Paul plays football. What time does Nancy wake up? Nancy wakes up at 9 a.m. Where does Nancy work? Nancy works at a hospital. Do they go to school? Yes, they go to school. Does it rain often here? Yes, it rains often here. What does Paul do on weekends? Paul goes hiking on weekends. Does Nancy have a car? Yes, Nancy has a car. Do you watch TV every day? No, I do not watch TV every day. Does Paul cook dinner? Yes, Paul cooks dinner. When do you study English? I study English every evening. Does Nancy play the piano? Yes, Nancy plays the piano. Where does Paul live? Paul lives in New York. Do you go to the gym? Yes, I go to the gym. Does Nancy visit her family often? Yes, Nancy visits her family often. What does Paul eat for breakfast? Paul eats cereal for breakfast. Do they speak English? Yes, they speak English. Does it get cold in winter? Yes, it gets cold in winter. When do you read books? I read books at night.
Learn English in the kitchen. Easy cooking vocabulary and phrases. What is Douglas's favorite dish to cook? His favorite dish to cook is spaghetti. Can Emma bake a cake? Yes, Emma can bake a chocolate cake. What ingredients do you need for pancakes? You need flour, milk, eggs, and sugar. Does Douglas like spicy food? Yes, he loves spicy food. How often does Emma cook dinner? She cooks dinner every day. What is the easiest dish for beginners? Scrambled eggs are the easiest dish. Where does Douglas buy his groceries? He buys them from the supermarket. What time does Emma usually start cooking? She usually starts cooking at 6 p.m. How long does it take to bake cookies? It takes about 15 minutes. Does Douglas enjoy making soup? Yes, he enjoys making vegetable soup. What is Emma's special recipe? Her special recipe is lasagna. What do you need to make a salad? You need lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and dressing. Does Douglas know how to grill meat? Yes, he is very good at grilling meat. How does Emma make her pasta sauce? She uses tomatoes, garlic, and olive oil. Is cooking easy for beginners? Yes, some recipes are very easy for beginners. What does Douglas use to fry eggs? He uses a frying pan and some butter. Does Emma like cooking for her friends? Yes, she loves cooking for her friends. How many eggs do you need for an omelette? You need 2 or 3 eggs. Can Douglas make desserts? Yes, he can make apple pie. What is the most important tool in the kitchen? A sharp knife is the most important tool.